What have you done with most of the money you've earned so far? Is it sitting in your account or safe, or have you already spent it all? If it's sitting in your account or safe, I have some discouraging news for you. Even if you haven't spent any of it and it's just sitting there, that money is gone. What do you mean, I hear you say? I'll explain it to you in this video, because probably even your family didn't tell you these things. The vast majority of people either spend money or somehow save it. They continue living without even knowing there's a third option. Actually, our families taught us many things, didn't they? Being respectful, working, maybe saving a little, but they didn't teach you how to grow your money. In fact, no one around us told me or you about this, because they don't know either. Of course, it's not their fault that they don't know. Unfortunately, since financial literacy isn't taught in schools, it's not discussed among families either. For some reason, these topics are kept secret, as if they belong to the chosen ones. I'm Sammy. On this channel, I share things that even your family doesn't know or wouldn't tell you. You're not alone anymore. Your Uncle Sammy is always with you. If you want me to continue teaching you financial topics that no one has told you about, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you're ready, let's begin. Why do we invest? The fact is, while your money sits in the bank, even if you don't spend it at all, it loses value every day. This is what we call inflation. Inflation works like an invisible thief. Think about it this way. As of the beginning of 2026, annual inflation in the United States is approximately 2.4%. This rate doesn't seem very high to you, does it? Let's look at the mathematical side of this together. Your $50,000 loses approximately $1,000 in purchasing power every year. Look, you're not doing anything. The money is just sitting in your account. But while the price of everything around you is increasing, your money continues to stay at the same number in your account. So what happens after 10 years? With $50,000, you can buy what you could buy with $41,000 today. After 20 years, $33,000. At the end of a typical 30-year working life, only $27,000 worth of value remains. Moreover, without spending a single penny, you've lost almost half of your savings. Isn't that like a joke? But unfortunately, it's real. Let's make this even more concrete. Let's say you paid $30,000 for a car in 2006. Today, the equivalent of that same car is $55,000, $60,000. So if you put that $30,000 under your pillow in 2006 and took it out today, you can't buy the same car anymore. Even though the number of your money is the same, your purchasing power has been cut in half. This is how concrete and how merciless a concept inflation is. Does a high-yield savings account solve this problem? Let's get to the answer to this question. Partially, yes, it does, but most savings accounts at best break even with inflation. So in this case, maybe you won't drown underwater, but you won't swim either. This is exactly the point where you should understand that you need to invest. The first reason is, of course, to fight inflation, to preserve the value of your money. This is your defensive wall against a possible bad situation. Now let's move to the offensive front, compound growth. The power of compound growth. You may have heard this term before. Unfortunately, very few people can grasp what it actually means. In such a scenario, let's consider two different people. Both set aside $500 per month for investment and continue this for 30 years. The first person keeps this money in a savings account that pays 4% interest. At the end of 30 years, they have approximately $346,000. During this time, they put a total of $180,000 into their account. So they earned approximately $166,000. Not a bad number at all. Let's get to the other person. The second person also chose to invest the same $500 each month in a diversified stock portfolio. It provides a historical average 10% return. So what happens after 30 years? The amount in their account became $1.1 million. Look, both have the same $180,000 investment, the same time period, but one earned 3 times more than the other. So where does this difference come from? Only from the difference between 4% and 10%, that is, from compound growth working exponentially over time. With a 10% return, your money doubles approximately every 7 years. With 4%, this period is 18 years. If you want to see this in real life, think about this. If you're 25 years old today and investing $500, that $500 will be $1,000 when you turn 32, $2,000 when you turn 39, $4,000 at 46, and $8,000 at 53. Moreover, you don't need to do anything during this process. You're just waiting. The most powerful effect of compound growth started to emerge much more clearly in the final years. The amount you earn in the 30th year is much more than what you earned in the first 10 years. Why? Because now you're not just calculating the return on the money you put in, you're calculating the return on previous returns too. And most people don't even realize this. In fact, going even further, while investing $500 per month, at the end of the 5th year, you have approximately $77,000 in your account. But in the last 5 years, that is, from your 25th year to your 30th year, the amount in your account increases by approximately $430,000. Same time, same amount. But this becomes possible with much greater growth, because now you're rolling a snowball on top of a huge mountain. It's the only way to grow your wealth, your savings legally, in a way that everyone can access and that actually works. Moreover, you don't need to be very smart or very lucky to accomplish this. Starting early and being consistent is enough. Why stocks? Okay, Uncle Sammy, I understand, but why should we prefer stocks instead of investing in real estate, gold, or cryptocurrency? I seem to hear you say. Let's look together. Stocks have 3 characteristics. You won't find these 3 together in any other investment vehicle. First, liquidity. Let's say you have real estate worth $400,000 and you need the money that will come from it tomorrow. What do? The first thing you'll do is, of course, post an ad to announce that you've put it up for sale, because this is the best way to find a buyer. When you find one, you negotiate with the buyer, title procedures, legal processes, and this process takes at least a few months. And if you're in a hurry, unfortunately, you have to sell your property below market value. However, for a $400,000 stock fund, all you have to do is press a button. The transaction takes place in seconds, and your money is deposited into your account within a few days. You don't need to wait for months. A similar situation exists for gold. When you want to sell physical gold, finding a jeweler, negotiating prices can sometimes create security risks. None of these problems occur with stocks. Second, accessibility. You don't need a real estate license to buy stocks. Moreover, it doesn't require hundreds of thousands of dollars in down payment. In 2026, most major brokerage firms don't charge commissions. Many allow fractional share purchases. You can do this from your phone while sitting on your couch. It's that simple. Even if you're working at minimum wage today, you can enter this system by setting aside $50 to $100 every month. This situation isn't possible with real estate. In the cryptocurrency world, volatility is so high that accessibility alone isn't enough. Third, long-term reliable return. In the short term, the market is extremely unpredictable. In March 2020, it fell 34% in 5 weeks. In the 2008 crisis, it melted 57% in 17 months. In 2000, it also declined 49% in 2.5 years. So what happens in the long term, that is, in 15 to 30 years? The S&P 500 index has provided approximately 10% annual return since its establishment. In the last 30 years, 10.3%. In the last 50 years, approximately 12% return. In history, there's no investor who invested in this index long-term and lost money. After every major decline, the market recovered and reached new peaks, and every single time. So what did gold do during this period? It provided annual returns around 5 to 6%. Moreover, with storage costs that vary depending on configuration. What about crypto? You can gain 1,000% there, but you can also go to zero. This level of unpredictability is not suitable for long-term wealth planning. How to buy stocks? For this, you need to open a brokerage account. There are 2 main account types: retirement accounts. The most important feature of retirement accounts is the tax advantage. Traditional 401k or IRA, you invest pre-tax money and pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement. Roth IRA, you invest after-tax money, but investments grow tax-free. You don't pay taxes when you withdraw in retirement. Let's understand this more clearly. Let me show you with an example why Roth IRA is powerful. At age 25, you invest $6,000. This money becomes approximately $270,000 at age 65, with an average 10% return. And when you withdraw this $270,000 in retirement, you don't pay a penny in taxes. In a traditional IRA, you pay taxes on that $270,000. The difference is tremendous. Contribution limits: $401k, $24,500 per year, 50 plus, $32,500, 60 to 63 age, $35,750, IRA, $7,500, 50 plus, $8,600, Roth IRA phases out gradually in the income range of $153,000, $168,000 for singles, $242,000, $252,000 for married couples. HSA, Health Savings Account, triple tax advantage, $4,400 for individual insurance, $8,750 for family insurance, $1,000 extra for 55 plus. Why triple? Because no tax when investing, no tax while growing, no tax when withdrawing for health expenses. This combination is a unique opportunity with no equal in the financial world. Regular brokerage account, no contribution limit, no withdrawal restrictions, but no tax advantage either. So you pay taxes on dividends and profit sales. So which brokerage firms provide these? Fidelity, Schwab, and Vanguard. Zero commissions, zero minimum balance, strong customer service, SIPC protection. Actually, there's not much to think about at this point. What's important is that you open an account. What should you buy? You can buy individual stocks, but if you choose this, you face two serious problems. It requires research, and the vast majority of professional fund managers fall behind simple index funds in the long term. Let me show this with a number. According to the Spiva report conducted every year, 80 to 90% of actively managed large company funds couldn't beat the S&P 500 index over a 15 to 20-year period. Moreover, these fund managers work with Harvard graduate analysts with billions of dollars in infrastructure. They still lose. The reason is that fees, transaction costs, and human psychology erode performance. An index fund doesn't try to beat the market. It buys all the stocks in a specific index according to their ratios. If you're buying an S&P 500 index fund, with a single purchase you become a partner in 500 large companies. Look, pay attention to the expense ratio here. Active funds generally charge 0.5 to 1.5% fees. With a fund with 1% expense ratio, you reach approximately $900,000 in 30 years. What happens with 0.03%? $1.1 million. The difference is approximately $200,000. And without you doing anything, you experience this difference just because of the fund you chose. Recommendations for S&P 500, VOO, 0.03%, IVV, 0.03%, SPLG, 0.02%, lowest in 2026. For total market, VTI, 0.03%, ITOT, 0.03%. For international diversification, VXUs, 0.07%. Complexity doesn't provide returns. The simplest portfolios generally leave complex ones behind. Let me set a rule. When starting, a single fund will be sufficient. If you're confused, just buy VOO and automatically contribute every month. As years pass and you learn the logic of this business, you'll expand your portfolio. But not starting, spending your years waiting for the perfect portfolio is a much bigger mistake. I'm warning you not to fall into this mistake. So when to enter? Should you enter when the market is at its peak? As natural as this question is, it's equally dangerous. The S&P 500 spends approximately 8% of all trading days at all-time highs. Research shows that investing immediately gives better results in about 2/3 of cases compared to waiting for the bottom. Time in the market always beats timing the market. You can think of it this way. Let's say you decided to wait for the market to hit bottom. So how will you know the bottom? Will you enter when it drops 20%? But what if it drops another 10% after that? Or if it rises 30% after dropping 5% and you're still waiting? Waiting for the bottom practically equals sitting on the sidelines most of the time. We experienced and saw this situation in March 2020. The market literally crashed with COVID panic. Thousands of people waited, saying it will drop more. The market completely recovered within 1 year and broke new records. Those who continued waiting missed most of this rise. Apply the regular investment strategy to feel comfortable psychologically. Automatically invest a fixed amount every month. Buy fewer shares when prices are high, more when they're low. When you automate this, you eliminate the question, should I invest today? How much will you transfer? Transfer an amount that you can continue this habit for years. Investing $1,000 monthly and stopping after 3 months is much worse than investing $200 monthly for 30 years. Wherever you start, just increase it and never stop. The topic that most investment education skips is psychology. Since 1928, the S&P 500 has provided positive returns in 73% of calendar years. This means in a quarter of them, it closes the year at a loss. In 2022, the market dropped 19%. Many investors sold at the bottom and made their losses permanent with their own hands. In 2008 to 2009, the market melted 57%. Those who sold at the bottom missed the subsequent rise of over 500%. Those who held their assets during declines and continued buying would have earned more than they would have if the crisis had never happened. I want to touch on a very important point here. Do you know why people sell during declines? Because when the brain receives a danger signal, it wants to escape and get rid of the situation it's in. Unfortunately, this is also an evolutionary mechanism. When living in caves, escaping from danger meant ensuring survival. But escaping from the situation in the stock market, that is, selling, unfortunately ruins you. That's why investing doesn't just mean doing mathematical calculations. It also means managing your own brain. In such situations, you can do these things. Open your account, set up your automatic investments, then look at your accounts as little as possible. Some research shows that investors who check their portfolio more often make worse decisions. Because every time you look, there's a chance you'll see a decline, and this psychologically pushes you to sell. Warren Buffett said something, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient." In the investment world, patience is more valuable than IQ. Practically do these: keep a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. Invest money you won't need for at least 5 to 10 years. Don't check your portfolio frequently. Unrealized loss is not a real loss, but the moment you sell what you have with anxiety, it turns into a loss. Never forget this either. Follow these steps to make and implement a step-by-step investment plan. First step, get your full 401k match, because free money isn't left on the table. If your company contributes 50 cents for every dollar and you're not investing, this literally means left money. Second step, build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund in your high-yield savings account. This fund is not an investment, it's your insurance. If something suddenly happens to your car or you suddenly lose your job, thanks to this fund, you won't have to touch your investments. Third step, if you're within the income limit, contribute to Roth IRA up to the annual limit. Fourth step, if you have an HSA, reach the maximum. The triple tax advantage is the most powerful combination. Fifth step, increase your 401k contributions, try to reach the maximum. Sixth step, if you've filled all tax-advantaged accounts, continue with a regular brokerage account. For each of your accounts, keep it simple. A single S&P 500 or total market index fund will be sufficient. Why do I recommend this order? Because tax-advantaged accounts always come before regular accounts. If you're in the 22% tax bracket and contributing to a Roth IRA, you won't pay a single penny in taxes on the growth of that money throughout your life. Look, this is a tremendous advantage. Most common mistakes. Now let's talk about the mistakes people make most often. Knowing these will protect you from these mistakes. The biggest mistake is postponing starting. "I'll start when I have a little more money" is unfortunately one of the most expensive sentences in the financial world. The difference between someone who starts at 25 and someone who starts at 35 is not just 10 years lost, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. Because the most powerful growth happens in the final years, and if you miss these 10 years, it means you miss most of this growth too. Another biggest mistake is jumping into individual stocks without building your foundation. Let's say a friend recommended a stock to you. You heard a company name on the news and immediately entered that stock without thinking. Look, this isn't a strategy, it's literally gambling. First, build a strong foundation with index funds, then if you want, you can research individual stocks. Another big mistake is checking your portfolio too often. Daily or weekly checks will increase psychological pressure every time, so it will always make you make bad decisions. For long-term investors, monthly or quarterly checks are sufficient. Again, one of the most common biggest mistakes is selling during declines. This is unfortunately the most expensive mistake on this list. Although every major decline has historically been an opportunity, it seems very difficult when experiencing the moment. That's why set up your system, automate it, and stay away. Another mistake is choosing high-fee funds. Although a 1% expense ratio seems small, let's remember it creates a $200,000 difference in 30 years. Not increasing contributions over time and increasing the investment amount as your salary increases is logical, and it protects you from loss. If you're investing 5% today, try to increase to 7% after 1 year. When small increases combine with compound growth, they produce incredible results. Know how to see investment as a voluntary action rather than mandatory. Invest like paying rent. Let it go out automatically every month and continue living as if that money doesn't exist. And we've come to the end of this video too. My biggest advice to you in this video is to open a brokerage account today, set up automatic transfer for monthly investment in a low-cost index fund, and don't touch this accumulation for years. Look, I'm not telling you that you have to be smarter than everyone. You don't need to be luckier than everyone either. It's enough to do what most people know they should do but never do. The gap between knowing all this and doing it is where wealth dies. Start today to close that gap. I'm Sammy. I continue to share things from here that even your family doesn't know or wouldn't tell you. You're not alone anymore. Your Uncle Sammy is always with you. And I'll continue to tell you on this channel what you don't know about finance, what you know wrong or incompletely. So are you with me? Then you can support me by following my channel and liking this video. See you in the next video. Take good care of yourselves.